So today we are going over my collection of Nikon 35mm film cameras. I'm going to go over the pros and cons, kind of brief overview of each one, and what might be best for you based upon your specific needs, whether it be budget or just features you need. So I've never done a full-out camera collection video just because it would take a while and it's kind of a long process. So I might split it up into a few different videos. I'll do Nikon one video, I'll do Canon another video, maybe I'll do medium format for one, and then Pentax, Minolta, and that kind of stuff, and then maybe point and shoots and rangefinders into one, although I have done a rangefinder video before. So starting off with the Nikon F. The Nikon F is a fully mechanical camera. It's got a big, massive eye-level viewfinder here. Of course, you can get different versions. You can get waist level as well. It is a heavy tank of a camera, built great, similar to, you know, the Minolta SRTs, which I like to talk about when I think of well-built, long-lasting cameras. This is definitely up there with great camera. Again, mechanical, goes up to 1/1000 shutter speed, has timer, has bulb, has a removable prism, so if you want to shoot waist level, you can. All pros. It is heavy though, but you can use that wide a range of great Nikon glass. I have two here. One I bought across the street from a prison, believe it or not. I was on my way to a trip up in North Carolina, found it on OfferUp, messaged a lady, she responded very quickly, and so I met her at a gas station across from a prison. And I got the Nikon F, I got the 50mm 1.2, the old version, which I love. I use that lens all the time. I think I got an 85mm and then a 200mm as well, all for $40. So I got a great deal on that first one. The second Nikon F I got in a little bit better shape. I got this one again off OfferUp. The lady had it listed there and she thought it was broken, and I was pretty sure I knew what was wrong with it, so I took a gamble. I spent another $40 on this Nikon F. What happened was, once I got the camera, I immediately looked at it and I could tell it was stuck in bulb mode with the mirror in the locked upright position. So all I did was switch it out of that and boom, it was working perfectly. Next up, the Nikon F2. Now I have two of these as well. So the F2 is actually the second or third camera that I bought when it comes to film. I love the F2, it's great. I think I spent 120 bucks on this, which is close to the most I've ever spent on a singular film camera. It's in great condition. It's got the better viewfinder. It's got a soft shutter release here. Can't go wrong with the F2. Again, removable prism. A few differences between the F2 and the F1. Shutter speed, you get up to 1/2000 instead of just 1/1000. This goes down to bulb mode, and then also you can shoot extended settings, I believe 2 through 10, using the timer meter here, if I'm not mistaken. So you can shoot extended exposures without needing a cable release. You do need kind of a attachment to use the cable release on this, since it's not the traditional little screw-on one. It's got its own separate shutter button, so you have to attach the adapter kind of to a cable release in order to use that. If you don't need the extra room with shutter speeds as far as up to 2000 and then lower, go with the F2, or the F1, sorry. You can get a better deal on it, and they're very similar, pretty much the same. I mean, you're gonna get a better viewfinder and better prism on the F2, but honestly, the F1, not F1, the F is still a great camera. Personally, I shoot with the F2 probably more than the rest of these cameras, but we'll get into that in a little more detail here in a minute. So the second F2 that I bought in a big box of stuff with a bunch of different lenses and adapters, and I think there was a big medium format lens in there. It's like a $400 lens. This body, I think a 24mm Nikon lens, and then a 50 F2, that kind of thing. I spent $125 on the box, and this one came with the waist level finder, which I have yet to use, but it is pretty cool that it comes with that waist level finder there for, you know, shooting streets. It is a nice perk to have that, although I will say, shooting 35mm, I don't use that a whole lot. To me, if I'm gonna shoot waist level finder, it just feels right to use a TLR. So Nikkormat series, I have the FT here in all black, and then I have the FT3. I've also used the FT2. The main difference you're gonna see between these two bodies is simply that the FT usually has a cold shoe mount here. This one doesn't have one on there. And then the FT3 has a hot shoe built into it. So that's kind of the big difference, mainly electronic features and bonuses on that. Also, with the FT series, the shutter speed is right here where you would attach the lens, similar to the Olympus OM 1s and 2s and so forth. So personally, I kind of prefer that, but if it's weird to you not having your shutter speed up here, then maybe this isn't the right fit for you. But it's kind of nice to just adjust your shutter speed, adjust your aperture, and be ready to go, as opposed to doing it here and here. It's just all right here, which I kind of like. The Nikkormat series is for some reason extremely cheap still, at least from what I've seen. Maybe it's changed, I haven't looked very recently, but you can still find them for $40, $60, $80, $100, depending on whether you're looking at local Facebook Marketplace or on eBay, it just depends. They're still really cheap, and they are built on the same chassis as the Nikon F. Only difference is you don't get the removable prism, and of course your shutter speed is in a different location. But otherwise, they're gonna have a great build too, without the removable prism. So honestly, if you want a more budget-friendly option, and the prism isn't a big deal to you, go with the Nikkormats. They're great, you can still use all the same glass, they're built well, it's a Nikon F without a removable prism, and that's all I have to say about it. Now, I will say one more thing before we move on, is that these are all fully electronic cameras. I prefer mechanical cameras. I like to have a film advance on my cameras. So all these cameras have film advances. There's no automatic film advance. There's no automatic everything like you would find in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So there's plenty of Nikons that I'm leaving out that are later, reliable, just built more plasticky, and they give you less mechanical controls. So these are all manual film advance cameras. So I'll preface that as we continue on. First up, the Nikon EM. There is also the Nikon EL. Few minor differences between the two. This is basically fully automatic. You can shoot manual at 1/90th of a second, and of course you do have control over your aperture. But other than that, it is fully automatic. Takes the two LR44 batteries. It's a great compact little Nikon. If you just want to put a lens on it and just kind of walk around, take pictures without having to worry about settings and things like that, this is the option to go to. Not as great build quality compared to the rest of the Nikon line for sure, but you kind of sacrifice that when you get into this much smaller chassis. Next is probably the best bang for your buck out of this entire Nikon line is the Nikon FG. There's the FG, and then there's also, I think it's the FG2A or FGA, FG2, something like that. I've only ever seen it in a silver body. Very similar to the FG, just a few minor little differences. The FG has a great focusing prism. So you have split prism and micro prism around that. You get your shutter speeds in the viewfinder there, which is great. You have automatic as well as manual features in your shutter speed here. The dial, I really like about the dial is it sticks out, so you can actually move it right there on the front and not be stuck kind of coming up here to adjust it. You can just move it right there with that front finger. None of these other bodies have that. You have to, come up and move it with two fingers, whereas the FG, you have that ability to just kind of maneuver it with one finger and not have to worry about it, which I really like. And I got it stuck. Again, takes two LR44 batteries, but you have exposure compensation, you have your ASA. Again, a very small frame, a little bit bigger than the EM, but not substantially. Personally, if you're looking for a budget option, I would spend the extra 20, 30 bucks and get the FG over the EM, but that's my personal opinion. This is gonna give you a lot more features, give you a lot more reliability. Again, build quality lacks a little bit compared to the rest of these cameras because you're using a smaller, more compact size with more plastic, less reliable parts. But I will say I haven't had as many issues with the FGs compared to what I've seen with the EMs. Oh yeah, I have two FGs here actually, and I have, two more FGs over there and another EM over there. And believe it or not, I have, 12 Nikkormats over there. We won't talk about that. So I have multiple variations, and then I think I have 6 or 7 body and parts bodies that need repairs of the FMs and the FEs. 2 more F2s, one needs to be completely reassembled, it's just parts. Another one was in a fire and it needs a complete overhaul. So I have a lot of Nikon parts and bodies. When I find a good deal, I buy it because I know I can always get my money back out of it. And I like to have backups for things. So if my F2 fails, I like to have a backup F2 because it's a great camera and I love it. And plus these are just classics and they look great, especially the Fs. So these are aesthetically nice to me. They look great on the shelves whenever I'm not using them. If I find a good deal, I'll snag it. And then if I'm not going to use it, or if I don't like that series, I will sell it. I will say I haven't sold much lately because I've been kind of holding them onto them for a project I'm working on. Which we'll get to in later videos probably. I don't recommend having quite this selection of cameras. It's best if you stick to just a couple and learn them and use them properly. Yeah, so don't do what I do, is basically what I'm saying. So I have the Nikon FM and then I have the FE2. A few little differences. The Nikon FM is a fully mechanical body. You can use the LR44 batteries to get you a light meter and things like that, but all your shutter speeds from bulb all the way up to 1/1000 are fully mechanical, so you don't necessarily need the batteries. And then the FM2 and I think it's FM2A with shutter speeds all the way up to 1/4000 is like Nikon's best ever film camera because you just have all that functionality without needing batteries. But the FM, fully mechanical, this one has a bit of an issue with the film advance, so I won't be selling it probably because of that. I'll just keep it and use it myself since it doesn't bother me a whole lot. But that's kind of the main difference between the FM series and the FE series. Now this is the FE2. This FM I got in a box of cameras, so it was, you know, cost averaged out. This is probably 20 or 30 bucks for me. And same with this FE2. This FE2 I've taken on trips to Oregon and California. I love it, it's great, great results. This one does require batteries in order to operate, but the FE2 here, you get shutter speeds all the way to 1/4000, which is very nice to have. It gives you a little bit more room if you want to shoot a lower aperture or f-stop for a little bit of a shallower depth of field. Since all these other options, you only get up to 1/1000, or with the F2, you get 1/2000. So in that aspect, I really like the FE2. So I think this is the camera with the highest shutter speed that I own, is 1/4000. I think everything else I own is only up to 2000, like the FE2s. And everything else is like 500 or 1000. So it is nice to have this option in my pocket. The infamous Nikon F3, which I have used a total of 1 time. So this is just the classic film camera that everybody wants, is the Nikon F3 or the Canon F. It's a great camera. It has the removable prism, same as the F2s and Fs, not F1s. I'm getting away from saying F1s. So thing is here, you only get up to 1/2000th shutter speed. Of course, you do get the removable prism, but you only get that. It gives you a digital readout in the viewfinder of what your aperture and shutter speed should be, or what they are, which is great. It's clean. It makes it very simple and easy to use. I bought this just because it was such a good deal. I couldn't pass up on it. I think I spent $150 on it. It was sitting on OfferUp for a couple of months. It had a 50mm 1.4, I think it had 85mm, had a 135mm, a zoom lens, and then I believe 2 wide lenses, a 24 and a 28. So it was, once I opened it up, I couldn't believe it, because those lenses, each of those lenses is a $200-300 lens, the wide lenses. And then of course the F3 is, you know, a $300 body itself. It is a great camera. It does feel nice. It's smooth. It's just not my favorite, and it's, I don't know. It's just, for me, again, I prefer the F2s and the F1s. I like that mechanical feature. And then the FE2 if I need some more shutter speed room, since the F3 only goes up to 1/2000. I am probably actually going to use this weekend. I got the new Cosmo Agent 400 film, just came in from the Kickstarter. Hopefully you were backing that project. So I just got that film in, so I think I am going to put it in the F3. But for me, my personal favorite is going to continue to be the Nikon F2, just because, again, I just love the simplicity of it, the ease of use of it, how it feels, the reliability, not needing batteries and things like that. And then I'll kind of swap in a few of these other ones depending on the setting, the trip, or what I want to use, and what's important to me for that film or that specific thing that I'm going to shoot. So comment down below, let me know which Nikon is your option for your shooting styles. I'm curious to see kind of the overall opinion on people's view of which Nikon is best for them or best overall. So that is going to wrap up the Nikon portion of my film camera collection. If you have questions, leave those in the comments and I will be sure to get back to you.